Welcome back, everyone. And now, welcome to the regular meeting of the Council of the Corporation of the Township of North Dundas. Once again, today being September 25th, September 26th. 2024. Moved by Deputy Mayor Bergeron, second by Councillor Uhrig, that the meeting of the Council of the Corporation of the Township of North Dundas be hereby called to order at 4:55 p.m. All those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, that's carried. Are there any items that Council like pulled from the consent agenda for discussion? What would you like pulled from the consent agenda?
Mr. Mayor, not from the consent agenda, but from
That's the question.
the adoption.
Pulled from the consent agenda?
No.
No?
No.
And are there any amendments to the agenda? Yes, Deputy Mayor.
I would like the agenda title number 10 be amended to read, motions and notices of motions for consideration at this meeting, and that item number 10.1 be moved to after item 7.1A.
I don't understand the need for the move to disrupt everything here. Yeah, I'm not going to do all that. To the Deputy Mayor's request, do we have a seconder? Councillor Lennox? Thank you. That the agenda, moved by Deputy Mayor Bergeron, seconded by Councillor Lennox, that the title for Section 10 be amended to motions for consideration at this meeting, and that the item 10-1 be moved to after item 7.1A. All those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, that's carried. Moved by Councillor Uhrig, second by Deputy Mayor Bergeron, that the minutes of the regular meeting of the council held on the 5th day of September 2024 be adopted as presented. All those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, that's carried. And at this point, we're going to roll right in to our delegations. And with us tonight, we have from the Chesterville Ballroom Dance Group, and I think the whole troupe, we have Bruce and Kim Henbest. Bruce and Kim, if you would, come ahead and make sure the microphone is on. Please. Thank you. Oh,
I'm not Colkin.
welcome, Arnold.
You're welcome. Thanks.
Thank you. So,
Good
Mr.
afternoon.
Henbest.
My name is Bruce Henbest, and beside me is Arnold Shearder, both long-term members of the Chesterville Dance Group, and we're here on behalf of the group, some of whom are behind us, not all of whom. And thank you for this opportunity to speak with you. We'd like to just take a minute to give you a better sense of who we are, what we do, how we contribute to the township, and why we are here this afternoon. The Chesterville Dance Group is a not-for-profit group interested in providing opportunities for learning and enjoying ballroom dance. The group is one of the township's long-standing partners, offering adult recreational programming for more than 17 years. Using the second floor of the Chesterville Community Hall, ballroom dance lessons are offered from September to June every year, typically 6 lessons per week on 2 or 3 days per week. These lessons start with the basics and in 8 different dances and then progress through several levels, introducing additional steps in each course. Participants register through the township for these lessons. One thing you might not be aware of is the group also regularly rents the community hall and hosts a social dance every second Saturday night, year-round, including the summer months. Special workshops are also offered prior to these social dances, providing additional opportunities to learn new dances and/or new steps. And every year, the group hosts a special New Year's Eve dance and arranges an annual trip to the Dominican Republic in January, where dance lessons are offered in that warm weather on a daily basis. The group provides many opportunities for socializing both before and during Saturday night dances. For example, sometimes we share a meal together. The group maintains a website and sends out a bi-weekly newsletter through email, which is currently sent out to 148 email addresses, many of which reach at least 2 people. Over the years, approximately 2,500 people have participated in North Dundas Township ballroom dance lessons. Every year, approximately 400 people attend the Saturday evening dances. Participants range from young adults, perhaps wanting to learn a few dance steps before their upcoming wedding, to middle-aged couples and seniors wanting to keep active and to do something together by learning and enjoying dancing together. From a township reputation and economic impact perspective, it's important to note that while the core of the group comes from our local area, many participants are drawn to North Dundas in order to take advantage of this unique opportunity. For example, participants regularly attend from Cornwall, Long Sault, Alexandria, Iroquois, Embrun, Russell, and Ottawa. Last winter, we even had 2 young women from British Columbia who were visiting friends in Brockville. They found us online and came out to a dance. One Saturday evening last June, we had 14 people make the drive out from Ottawa, and we regularly attract dance instructors from outside the township who come to practice and enjoy dancing. Well, why do these people come to North Dundas? There are various reasons, different for different people. High quality instruction, excellent music, a welcoming atmosphere, reasonable prices, maybe sometimes the food, but also very important to dancers is the quality of the facility. The Chesterville Community Hall is not fancy, but it is well lit, it has air conditioning and heat, it has basic kitchen facilities, access to washrooms, tables and chairs, and a good sound system. Most importantly, it has a good quality dance floor. It is an older linoleum floor on a wood subfloor with some cushion or give. It's large and open, which is important for any of the traveling dances. Thanks to the efforts of the group, it has been kept clean and finished with dance floor quality wax. It is not too slippery, and it is safe. So we have a couple of very short videos that I'll ask Natalie to play for you, just to give you a sense of why that space and lack of pillars and things is important. I don't know if we have music or not, Natalie, but there, oh, maybe. And this one. How has the group contributed to the township? The lessons and other activities of the Chesterville Dance Group has permitted North Dundas to offer its residents a relatively rare and truly valuable form of adult recreational programming. While there isn't time to elaborate at length, the important physical and psychological benefits of dance are well documented through multiple studies in several different countries. In addition to physical benefits such as reduced cardiovascular disease, weight control, improved balance, agility, etc., dance has also been shown to increase cognitive acuity, improve memory skills, reduce stress, strengthen social bonds, and significantly reduce risk of dementia. For many years, the township has received direct revenues from both individual registration fees as well as rent payments for the group's use of the community hall. Individual registration fees over the years have been significant. A very conservative estimate of gross revenues over this period is approximately $160,000. In addition, the rental income received by the township has been approximately $1,400 per year. Given the large number of regular participants from outside the township, we believe the positive economic impact of these activities goes well beyond the direct revenues. Because our group appreciates the qualities of the community hall, we have also generated significant cost savings for the township by making significant contributions of both money and in-kind services. Twice the group has contributed to the purchase of air conditioning units. We have also bought boot mats, fans, window blinds, and a sound system with wall-mounted speakers for the group's use. In addition, the group has purchased the necessary products and donated at least 160 hours to preserve and maintain the dance floor. The group is self-sufficient, paying its own insurance costs for special events and ensuring the building is open and locked without any additional costs being incurred by the township. Lastly, the group acts as eyes and ears for the township if mechanical and other issues arise. So why are we here? We very much appreciate the opportunity to speak with you this afternoon. We are here to celebrate this long-standing and successful partnership with the township. It's also important to us that council know what we have contributed to the financial well-being of the township and to the quality of life within North Dundas. Last but not least, it's important to us that you understand the value of the Chesterville Community Hall facility to the activities and success of our group, as well as other dance groups that use this building, the Line Dancers, the Ashley Thomas School of Dance, and of course other organizations like the Chesterville and District Historical Society and the Chesterville branch of the SD&G Library. Ensuring council's understanding about why this facility is important seems particularly timely, given that in the near future you will be asked to assess the recommendations of the recently approved strategic review of township facilities, and we know that you will face many other challenging budget decisions in the years ahead. Thank you for your time this afternoon.
Well, thank you, Mr. Henbest, and I do appreciate that we, as I mentioned earlier tonight, that we had that opportunity to run into each other at I guess the Mayor's Disc Golf, where there's a demonstration of pickleball, and I mentioned your name to someone that you were probably around last night, and the comment was, how do they do it? They're busy in everything, and so I guess it's either the pickleball or the dance that keeps you going. I do appreciate this, and this is really what I enjoy, this type of delegation that comes forward and tells us about the challenges, the successes, the benefits, and future hopes and dreams, if you would. And so I think it probably served us all well as members of council to see this. And again, I do appreciate Arnold sitting there, and I would appreciate any comments from Arnold, but I'm going to open up to members of council. Councillor Uhrig. That Councillor Lennox.
Thank you for two-stepping out your comment there, Mayor. And thank you for waltzing over. I do want to celebrate our partnership, and thank you. I didn't know you existed. I'm sorry, I was ignorant.
That's
It
why
was
we're here.
a great presentation, and I like seeing, again, building of the partnership, using the facilities. Yes, there's tough times ahead, potentially. We don't have a magic crystal ball, but I'm pretty sure we all know what's on the horizon. But I support you. I support groups which are local, which are dedicated, and support their community. You have my support. Thank you.
Before I go any further, I did make a misstep, and I forgot to ask if there's any disclosures of pecuniary interest. Seeing none. Any further questions, comments? Councillor Annable.
If I knew you were there, it's been a long time and I believe I've forgotten. I think it's a great place for fellowship, and it kind of fits a niche that too old or too young for pickleball and you're not playing hockey. It's a good in between.
You can do all of those things.
I just wonder, do you have any cure for two left feet?
If I may, I can guarantee you, when you walk in with 2 feet, you'll walk out with 2, so don't worry about it.
Okay. No, I think it's a great program, and kudos to you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Uri.
Yeah, I mean, along the same lines, I appreciate you for coming tonight and giving us that overview of what your group does and has done over the years. And, you know, it's dreams and aspirations for the longevity of a partnership here. And I do also at the same time appreciate the fact that you didn't gloss over that, you know, we are facing some hardships. And, you know, there is, you know, we're on the tracks, we can hear the train coming, so to speak. And there's decisions will be made in the near future. And really, we're kind of at a point where, you know, all options of sorts are on the table, and you know we're going to go through that, but go through it as not only a council but as a community, and hear from the community. So, yeah, thank you for coming tonight, and appreciate the
Yeah, and step one is just to be informed about what's going on, right? Thank you. Yeah, thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
We'll move into action requests. Madam Clerk. Moved by Deputy Mayor Bergeron, seconded by Councillor Uhrig, that council approve up to $804.08 plus HST for special event insurance for the Morwood Vendor Fair being held on September 29, 2024, and that funds be taken from the township's advertising budget for community events. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. The Morwood Recreation Association is actually having an event on Saturday. It was an event that came up after we put the application in last year for a blanket special event insurance. There will be 27 vendors there, a car show, barbecue, and they're having inflatables. So the recommendation here is to have up to $804.08 plus HST. The reason it was worded that way is we weren't sure if we'd be able to get the insurance from the owner of inflatables in time. We did get confirmation of that just before this meeting, so there will be inflatables. Because this was not a request that was included in insurance before, I have given 4 options of what to do. Number 4 is not to have the event, which I didn't recommend because it's already advertised and it's in place. My number 1 recommendation is that last year when we decided not to do the Explore North Dundas magazine anymore, that money was carried forward and no decision was really made on how to spend that yet. But early in the spring, a report came to council and that money, part of the money was allocated to economic development for potential use for CIP applications with the balance for marketing or advertising or some other function. That money is still available, and my recommendation was that we take the funds for the extra insurance from that. I would also like to point out to council that there is another event coming up for this group, which is a lawn tractor Christmas parade. I don't know what that will be, but we will have to go back and get additional insurance for that, so there will be more financial requirements for this committee of council group.
Thank you very much for that, Madam Clerk. And I think, as we all know, with anything new, there's always challenges and hurdles and hiccups, if you would. Some are costly, some are manageable. But I see this as something that is part of the learning process of the new process and the new needs that we have to make sure that everyone is covered under the one policy. And I'm sure we'll be able to work through as best we can those challenges and bring everyone up to speed about the need to really forecast what they're going to be doing in the next year and understand the challenges if they're not able to do that. But I'll open up questions, comments. Councillor Lennox.
Yes. So I agree with what the mayor said. We're in the first year of the new system for committees of council, insurance. I had a good talk with the mayor 2 days ago regarding bringing committees together somehow under one umbrella and doing some kind of education program and seeing what works, what doesn't work, because it's still evolving. We're still getting questions, we're still getting complaints about the volunteer forums, everything's still evolving. As per Morwood RA, it's a small group, but it's a mighty group. It's a group that hasn't really asked for much, and I believe the number for insurance total this year for events in township is 15,000, so 800's kind of a small drop in the bucket. As per options, I'm for approving.
Thank you for your thoughts. Anyone else would like to weigh in? Councillor Urick.
Yeah, I would agree that, 800 is pales in comparison to the overall expense. And I do, I want to second your, comment in terms of getting our committees together and trying to, educate as best as possible, because we do have, in this case, a newer committee, or certainly new members of the committee, new to us committee kind of thing. But then we have, more established committees who are also trying to wade through the evolution of all of this, right? So I do think, as much as we can get people on the same page, it's just to every committee of council's benefit and to us as a council's benefit and to staff's benefit. So, yeah.
Councillor Annable.
I think it's a great idea. I'm proud to see that you were able to get a community volunteer basis to get it started. I've been on several boards over the years, and it's like pulling teeth to get people to come out anymore. So kudos for starting it and working on it.
Thank you. There's nothing else. All those in favor? Opposed? See none. That's carried. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Development Services, Mr. Pohl. Moved by Councillor Urick, second by Deputy Mayor Bergeron, whereas Woods Development and Construction 798-5509 Canada Inc. submitted a request to extend draft plan approval for a plan of subdivision 02-ND-S/2014 for part of Block P, registered plan number 34, former Village of Winchester, and part of Lot 4, Concession 6, former Township of Winchester, now the Township of North Dundas. Now therefore be it resolved that the Council of the Township of North Dundas hereby recommends that the United Counties of Stormont, Dundas, and Glengarry extend draft plan approval for plan of subdivision number 02-ND-S/2014 for 2 years as recommended by the Township Planning Division. Mr. Pohl.
Thank you, Mayor Fraser. So we have before us an application essentially to extend the draft plan approval. If it were to lapse, what it will do in January if it's not extended. Essentially, they have to reapply and go through the whole process again to get a new plan of subdivision registered on the property. This is an extension to give them some time to actually start some of the work. They're looking right now, as you can see on the third slide, if you go up 3 pages, they're looking to put in 3 town or apartment units of 24 units each on block 36 and continue on block 35 on the top of the screen there with another 3 units of 24 units each. They'd like to start building that this fall if they can. We're still waiting on South Nation and to iron out some of the final stormwater for the site block 37 or 36, what ponds they need and if it's all working. So they're just going through that as we speak. All the applications are in now. We're just waiting for approval for that so they can start getting shovels in the ground. They've had capacity allocated for the first apartment unit and they want to get started with that one. this fall if they can, and hopefully things go really smoothly. The extension for the subdivision will basically give them time. We'll start with site plan control and then give them time to get the things built over the next 2 years. Then they move to block 35. That's when they'll register the subdivision and carry on from there with the rest of the development. But they'll put in the road that comes off of Main Street, hopefully this fall and next spring, and connect all the water and sewer services, and also extend Clarence Street to get there. They need a loop for the apartments, for the water connections. You need that pressure to get 3 stories of apartments on those blocks. These units are also going to have underground parking, which is kind of exciting for North Dundas to have underground parking, which is unique, and that way they can shrink the size of what they need for space for parking. You'll see what the above ground is. Some of the lots are above ground, some are underground, so they'll be able to offer both. And visitor parking would be above ground. So hoping to see this move forward. This extension will allow them just to get started with the site plan control and not have to register the whole subdivision yet until they're ready to do that with block 35.
Excellent. Questions, comments? Councillor Annable, then Councillor Lennox.
I'm in favor of the expansion. I would hate to, as a business person, outlay all that money and have it gone. What I see is no reason, so I think it's a good plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Lennox.
I agree. It's a good plan. Housing is an issue in not just North Dundas, but the entire country, lack thereof. Just realistically, if we approve this tonight and they get the water allocations, etc., are they actually planning on putting shovels in the ground this fall?
That's their hope.
Okay, and is that realistic with South Nation and the permit process? And
It very well can. We're at the final finish line, essentially.
okay, perfect.
Draft up the agreement. It'd be a similar development to Wellings in that sense, if it's a private road for now to get to the first apartment, and it'll continue to be a private road until they register the subdivision,
Okay,
at which time it gets taken over as a municipal road. So it'll basically be similar to Wellings, a private road up until that point that we accept it, and they register the subdivision.
all right,
So-
perfect. Thank you.
Councillor Urick.
I sat in a different seat when this was first announced in 2014, so it's odd to still be talking about it, but now on this side. So anyway, glad to finally see it moving forward. I know there's been a lot of back and forth and a lot of work and a lot of effort, so good to see it moving forward. And to Councillor Lennox's point, I mean, housing continues to be an issue and will continue to be an issue. So anything we can do to further that and access to it here in North Dundas is a benefit. And also nice to see that the commitment remains, because I do think more than once this parcel of land has been listed for sale and has sat and not sold. So it's nice to see it finally go through with shovels ideally hitting the ground this fall.
Thank you. Further comments? No?
I agree that they should get the extension. There are delays not because of their fault, and so it should definitely go ahead.
I don't want to be the fly in the ointment, but there have been delays that have not been our fault. I think someone would challenge that comment, Deputy Mayor. The challenges are not from us. Please don't say that they weren't.
So
someone
no,
else's
I
fault.
didn't mean that they were from us. No, I'm talking COVID and other issues, yes.
Thank you. If there's nothing further, all those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, that's carried. Thank you, Mr. Paul. Mr. Cheney. Moved by Councillor Lennox, seconded by Councillor Annable, that council approve budget amendment 2024-06 to transfer funds from the Transportation Department's capital roads budget for Rodney Lane to its capital roads budget for Spruitt Road and Sandy Row with no additional funds required. Mr. Cheney.
Thank you, Mayor Fraser, members of council. So back a little while ago, the mayor and I spoke with a company called Biodiffusion Technologies Incorporated. They are a Canadian company located in Cambridge, Ontario, and they produce 100% environmentally safe plant-based bioresin developed as a natural binder to stabilize and strengthen both driving surfaces and the base material below using existing surface material. The creation of roads using the Green Roads binder will create a long-term solution for mitigation of dust pollution from unpaved roads, reduce the amount of grading and save in employee and equipment costs to maintain the road. Trials from BDT and other municipalities have produced a 3 to 4 year maintenance-free gravel road. Because this product works well with recycled road construction materials, it can help municipalities and townships extend their budgets, build stronger and more resilient roads, and source sustainable solutions to reduce reliance on newly mined materials such as asphalt or aggregate. Staff are requesting that this Green Road surface stabilization product be purchased and applied as a pilot project to a 900-meter section of Spruitt Road and to a Sandy Row Road from County Road 16 west for 1 kilometer. Spruitt Road is a good fit for this application of this new product, as this 900-meter section was pulverized and turned back to gravel and receives average daily traffic. Sandy Row is currently a gravel road and is the entry and exit for a quarry where truck traffic is more predominant than other gravel roads throughout the township. This will give us valuable information on how well the product will hold up to heavy truck traffic. In addition, BDT has offered to supply enough bioresin for staff to complete their own trials on a 200-meter section of Sandy Row at no cost to the township. As well, they are going to supply us 1,000-liter total bioresin for dust control trials in 2025 at no cost to the township. Along with BDT, the township's transportation department will be utilizing in-house labor and equipment throughout the project. Recommended that council accept this, and under the alignment with the strategic plan, under priority 2, this is for infrastructure updates.
Thank you for that, Mr. Cheney. Questions, comments? Councillor Rigg, then Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, when I went through the council package, I was very excited to see this and, see some innovation on the part of the township instead of, going back to the same well again and again and, sometimes seemingly feeling like we're just throwing money away and throwing down gravel and just, doesn't work, right? So I look forward to seeing not only this applied to these 2 roads, but also to see what the outcome is and the information we obtain and receive as part of using it. And I mean, who knows, maybe this is something of positive going forward, right? So thank you, Jamie. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Councillor. Deputy Mayor.
Mr. Cheney, I can't believe someone's offering us 1,000 liters of bioresin for free. So that's, yeah, we don't often get good news. And as you know, many of us, we get many emails about dust flying from gravel roads in the summer. I mean, unending dust. And so I'm really looking forward to how this product will work. And hopefully it will do a really good job and we can use this in the future.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Councillor Lennox.
Yeah, during our roads tour, I remember you briefly highlighting your good roads networking skills and the enthusiasm you spoke of the resin. It's nice to see it coming to fruition. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm a fan of new technology, new ways to save a few dollars. If a higher initial investment, but it will last much longer. And you touched on grading and the time and stuff for grading equipment cost. I'm excited to see this, and I hope it succeeds. Thank you.
Thank you, and Councillor Annable.
Well, just to meet the support for this, I think it's a great program. It's been a long time since there's been something come out that will last longer than gravel being thrown all around. This is great.
Yeah, and thank you, Councillor. No, this is something that I know my time here, we've been, I look at our CAO, it's been around as long as I have here and longer, and others, call him Mr. Pohl, that we've been struggling with new technology, trying to find ways to get attached to new technology and looking for support in new technology. So I do appreciate the support of council going forward on this because it's been a challenge, but not more importantly, also equally importance is Mr. Cheney's belief that I'm not saying this is the saving grace, but the belief that we need to venture outside of our zone of comfort and seek ways to improve what we do. And this is not the first step, but I think this is the first major step in using new technology to achieve a goal, and that goal is better gravel roads. And as I was listening to the presentation, Mr. Cheney, and as the conversation about load-restricted roads, it will come soon enough. Once the winter passes, I think of this maybe being an opportunity to help build up some of our, well, all of our rural roads, but as we go through this slowly, build up a level of confidence and expertise in applying it, and seeing how it supports our ag community, because the rural roads and ag community are inexorably entwined, and so the two go hand in hand, and I think this is going to be a great, I'm hoping on a great benefit to the rural roads and the ag community. It's let's make sure that the potholes disappear and the dust is held at bay, and that we don't have to touch up a road 3 or 4 times a year. And we all know how tough that is with the changing weather to get on the to get the grader out frequently throughout the summer. So I'm looking forward to this. I do believe, Mr. Cheney, you will have a date confirmed, somewhat around October 8th.
October 9th, actually.
October
Mr.
9th?
Mayor. Yeah, I haven't finalized it yet with the president of BDT, but we were in discussion today, and I threw out the 9th and the 10th. So they'll start on Sandy Row first, and then they'll move to Spruitt Road on the 10th. We're going to confirm that up tomorrow, and then once that's confirmed up, I'll send out invites to all the other municipalities. And Mr. Mayor, I know you're going to send it out to the other councils as well to invite them out and come and take a look. Just a quick word about BDT. They've been having some really great trials with recycled asphalt. So I know the county system, you've probably seen it where they do like a cold in place. That's where they grind the asphalt out, and it's a big long train, and the grass, they pulverize the asphalt, and at the end it's like a road comes out behind the whole train. And they've been having some really great successes with that and their trials in that aspect of it. Not saying they haven't had great trials with the gravel roads as well. So it's kind of an all-around bioresin, and I'm really hoping and we're excited about getting it done. And it is something that once we get the process down, that we can do 100 completely in-house. BDT's bringing their own water trucks and a bunch of equipment and stuff down to do the trials for us, just because we simply aren't set up for it. It does go on with the water truck, so we already have a water truck. It's just a matter of having a metering system on the back of the truck that you can monitor how much you're actually putting on. And it comes in totes, you pour it in the top, you mix water with it, and away you go. So it'll be something in the future that we can do 100% in-house. So it's exciting to see how well it's going to work.
I look forward to the 8th, the 9th, and 10th, and as you said, we're going to extend this out to our local councils and local directors of transportation, and give everyone an opportunity to see how this goes out, and then they can come back in a couple of years' time to see how it's lasted, and then determinations can be made as next steps. Saying all that, all those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, that's carried. Thank you. And moved by Councillor Annable, seconded by Councillor Lennox, that council accept the request for a new assessment schedule for maintenance under RSO 1990 CD 17 S76-1 2006 C19 Schedule A S61 of the Drainage Act for the bylaw.
Yes, correct.
Thank you. South Guy Branch, Moffat Kennedy, and East Justice municipal drains in the former township of Winchester, and that bylaw number 2024-57 being a bylaw to appoint Monica Shade of Shade Group, Inc. as the drainage engineer to prepare a new assessment schedule for maintenance of the bylaw, South Guy Branch, Moffat Kennedy, and East Justice municipal drains in the former township of Winchester. Be read and passed in open council, signed and sealed this 26th day of September 2024. Mr. Cheney.
Thank you again, Mayor and Council. Apologize for that being so long, but the Drainage Act has a lot of numbers and letters and stuff, so I apologize for that. Not my doing. So maintenance is required on various parts of the bylaw, the South Guy Branch, Moffat Kennedy, and the East Justice municipal drains. Total length of the above mentioned drains is approximately 11 kilometers, as marked in red on the attached map. The current assessment schedule is out of date, and there have been many severances and land use changes since adopted in 1975. An up-to-date and fair assessment schedule is required as part of the Drainage Act to conduct work and levy the cost to the watershed evenly.
Questions, comments? Councillor Urick?
No, just a comment more than anything. I echo much the same as what I said on your earlier report, Jamie. I really appreciate all this kind of behind-the-scenes work that the population in North Dundas doesn't see. This is key infrastructure in our municipality that most people don't consider and don't think about, and it is work that needs to be done. And you know, as you well attest, there were some deviations from the paths done. You know, not perhaps purposely, but certainly got off route in terms of a lot of this work being done throughout the municipality. So I'm really happy to see it being done now, and you know, action being taken in these areas. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
There's no other questions, comments? All those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, that's carried. We'll move on to fire and Chief Raystrick. Moved by Councillor Annable, second by Councillor Lennox, that council approve bylaw number 2021-45 being a bylaw to establish fees for certain licenses, permits, certificates, and various services as amended this 26th day of September 2024. Chief.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council. This request is North Dundas Fire Service. We're requesting that bylaw 2021-45 be approved to reflect the fees associated with the fire marquee agreement. This is basically the last piece of the puzzle so that we can collect the fees from the insurance companies. You'll notice in the document there is no dollar amount as a set fee for to be collected, as it will vary with each person's insurance policy. Basically, the way it works out is if the person doesn't make a claim on their insurance policy, we can't go after the money. But if they do make the claim, then we can go after whatever that portion would be for us.
Thank you. Questions, comments? Councillor Lennox.
So hypothetically speaking, let's say a car or a combine on someone's property is on fire, and they make a claim, we would go through this?
We would go through this, absolutely, yeah. So,
Okay.
and to clarify
Just not
that for
structures.
those, no structures.
Structures.
So this could be your home, so it's property insurance.
Yeah.
And to clarify with the combines, a lot of farm equipment is insured through the farm policy. It doesn't actually have a license and a motor vehicle policy on it. So combines and farming equipment, implements of husbandry could be included in this bylaw.
All right, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Urick.
No, I just want to say, nice to see this final piece of the puzzle, so to speak, fall into place and get moving forward here, and you know, setting some establishment here in terms of ease of the process, I guess.
Yeah.
Not, you know, it's ease of the process, I guess I say lightly, because it's not a fun reason why this is being used, but again, ease the process on our end of things. So thank you, Chief.
If there's no other questions, comments, all those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, that's carried.
Thank you.
At this point, we're going to move into key information, and it's Madam CAO.
Evening, Council. So the two reports you have before you are actually authored by the interim CIO. As you can see on there, these are items that he was working on when he was here. He just wasn't available to attend the September 5th meeting. So if you're okay with it, I will turn the microphone over to him.
Yes, thank you. Go ahead, former interim CAO.
Ouch. No, and sorry, I don't have any bioresin to share today. Yeah, there's really two I'll call it outstanding things that I'd hope to clean up with council before, or I guess as my term as interim CAO ended. So I'll start with the first one, just essentially a little bit of a high-level summary of the work here during my 10 months in North Dundas. First thing I want to do is make sure I formally recognize the exceptional team that's here working on behalf of council to move the municipality forward. Great group of people here that I know they always have very competing and difficult files in front of them and competing priorities and tasks. You know, in my experience here, I can tell you that they do have the best intentions in mind in terms of trying to resolve concerns and try and balance some of those competing priorities. And sometimes it maybe doesn't satisfy the specific complaint, but I know that they definitely have, you know, the big picture in mind as they're trying to work through some of those challenges. Ultimately, this report, there's really three things I wanted to touch on with council. Really, the first one was, you know, in respect of, as CAO, I deal with a bunch of issues and items. One of the things that I took away working with this council is that key commitment that they have to staff and that staff retention and engagement. And I thought it was very important for me to be able to share just in my 10 months here, as we had moved through some of those key pieces. And I know I kind of came in at a time where we were really advancing these things forward. So a credit to the CAO and getting those things, the ball rolling, because it was really, the ball was rolling down the hill and I just had to try and run and keep up with it, to be quite honest. So an item that I wanted to just provide some feedback to council with in respecting, as some staff have left the municipality, we have done exit interviews with staff, and this is provided to council to give some general feedback on those exit interviews. They have to respect, obviously, the level of confidentiality, but really I would suggest that in those exit interviews and exit discussions, there were very common themes that came up. Really, I think from like always very positive. One of those positive things was the compressed work week schedule, and that was a common thing that was mentioned, and that really separates this municipality from others and provides a competitive advantage to the municipality. Staff do note and appreciate the support that they get from council. You can be rest assured that staff here, they watch council meetings after they occur. They pay attention to it, and so hearing the positive, I guess, support that this council has of those staff, it resonates within the office, and I hope council realizes that. The staff really appreciate all the little extra things that happen here in the office and indicate how much that plays into the positive morale. Things like the coffee breaks every once in a while to give updates on what's going on, potlucks, the Halloween things, like very simple things, but it means a lot and actually creates a good level of cohesiveness within the organization. John told me to say this, or he'd get mad at me. There was some comments about as some staff had left from finance with respect to some of the challenges they have with peak workload demands and a need for additional resources, but I'll allow that to kind of play itself out as time goes on. But I think the key takeaway, you know, in terms of I had 5 staff members leave during my time here. 2 of the 5 that left were leaving as a result of remote work opportunities that weren't available here, but all that left indicate, and I should say that others left to pursue either the next level in their career path, which is admirable, or going back to school for additional education. So it was always under good circumstances, in my opinion. And all indicated they'd come back to the municipality. So I think that's a real positive takeaway, that they enjoyed working here and would happily come back to the municipality. Through that exit interview process, a couple things I won't highlight. There's a lot of things in this report you'll see that council's been able to achieve over the last year. But the 2 that I guess I will leave with council to ruminate on is the remote work options and opportunities for various positions and employees, whether that's something that the municipality wants to consider or not. That'll be up to Angela here, but I do think it's a very challenging thing to do in this line of work, is to provide those types of remote work opportunities. And I can tell you, I was just at a conference for transportation professionals, and this is something that other municipalities struggle with as well. It's just that it's something that's very challenging to offer to people, just because of the work that we do, and they see these people leaving for other opportunities elsewhere because some people just want to work continuously from home, which I don't think is something that could be provided here. The other one, which I think is just something that needs ongoing maintenance and monitoring, is the reconsideration of comments were received about the cost of living adjustment cap on wages. To this point, it actually hasn't impacted wages within the organization, and the fact that the organization does regular wage reviews and maintenance on that, I don't see that as, and I shared that feedback, I don't see that as an issue. I can appreciate the perception of it, but the reality is there's no net negative impact, or has been no net negative impact as people on wages. So last thing, and I do know that council's considering a motion after this, and I'll obviously that will not be for myself to weigh in or comment on, and I've spoken with a number of council members just in terms of my time here, and certainly appreciate any feedback on my time here that could be fed up through the mayor and provided to my CAO. I've really enjoyed my time here. I've really enjoyed working with this council and the staff that are here, and I do appreciate any feedback that any council members may have or may want to share with the mayor, and hope that would be provided to my CAO so that I can learn, develop, and continue to grow. So with that, I'll leave it there. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Mr. DeHaan, for that presentation and recapping some of the discussions you had, and especially the exit interviews. It's heartening to hear that some of the things that we're not able to offer, that the private sector can offer, has been the reason that people felt they need to leave. But it is heartening to hear that they would like to come back if it was at all possible. They enjoy their time here in North Dundas. It's odd that there be questions, comments, but it's almost like a delegation, but questions, comments. And I go to Councillor Uhrig, then the Deputy Mayor.
Well, I will say, first of all, thank you for that synopsis, Ben. I really do appreciate it. And I'll be sure to pass on any other kind of comment, feedback through the mayor so it can be filtered up. But what I will say publicly here tonight is that you were kind of a port in a storm for us, because unfortunately everything changed very quickly, and for a very unfortunate reason for another individual in this room tonight. And I appreciate you stepping in when all of a sudden it felt like panic mode, like what's going to happen, right? And, of course, we had care and consideration for a staff member who unfortunately had to go deal with something much larger than, the goings on and the complaints in the municipality. But no, I do appreciate you stepping in and kind of fostering some goodwill amongst staff here, and kind of bridging the gap from one section to the next. And so I appreciate your time and all your efforts and our many conversations and the issues we dealt with through those 10 months. So thank you, Ben.
Oh, Ben, okay.
Uh-oh.
Most of my notes are on your section. And in order to avoid scattering my thoughts, I'll be reading them so that I have the flow. It's double space and it's number 14, so it won't be very long. First off, I did notice an improvement in office morale while you were here, and I commend you for that. I witnessed your going away breakfast, and it was clear that staff found you an exceptional leader. I'm told that I have very good vision for my age, and it is very rare to see a room full of people holding back tears when their boss leaves. You don't usually see that. You are correct that council has committed to employee satisfaction. When a staff member looks forward to coming to work, you have improved productivity and you have staff retention. We have good, competent staff, and we need them for the long haul, for we do have serious challenges ahead. It's important for staff to be acknowledged, as you said, and to feel their achievements are appreciated, and for this to occur on a timely basis. In 2024, you implemented a new performance appraisal system for the North Dundas staff. I understand that the new process is based on the performance review forms used by the counties. I wasn't aware of exit interviews until very recently, and it's very important. Sorry. You mentioned that some of these indicated some staff would return if positive morale and momentum was sustained, and so I think it's important for council to know what's in these exit reviews. This is the first time I've heard a report from exit reviews, and I think it's really important. we as council were not in the workplace every hour of every working day, and staff and their input is valuable, which leads me to the next point. You concluded your report by asking council to provide feedback for your performance review at the counties. So Maureen, I see you back there. Wherever he goes, he will be an asset. That's my comment. So I'm happy to give you feedback on your performance. That could be yours in your review, and I'm sure the rest of council will, absolutely. So that leads me to my last point. The process for staff reviews was updated, but we do not currently have a formal system for evaluating the performance of the CAO, who is the only employee who reports directly to council. The counties and other municipalities use the 360-degree feedback for their CAO evaluation, and I feel we should develop the same policy for North Dundas. The county CAO, Maureen, she went through one just a few months ago. For those of you who may not know what this is, 360-degree feedback is an established, unbiased professional practice where a survey is sent off to staff, council, and the CAO for completion. Data is collected anonymously, and the results are presented back to council. And Maureen, if you could elaborate on this process, but after my flow, because I don't, okay. Staff do need to be heard, and anonymity allows staff to speak freely without fear or of perceived retaliation or harassment. This is a transparent, correct way to assess workplace dynamics and for council to address any issues that are found. I'm not aware of any 360-degree CAO performance review during my time here, which involves staff input. So it is due. So I did write a proposed motion, which will come up later. And I'd like to say that actually, in this whole country, the only true democracy left is at municipal councils, because we don't have to toe party lines. We're each independents. We can voice our opinions, vote on a matter, and majority rules. And that's how it works at the municipal level. So now I leave it to my colleagues to voice their opinions. And I don't know if Maureen wants to speak about 360 degree now, or...
Madam Deputy Mayor, that would be up to me, as I'm still the chair of the committee and the mayor of the township. So I would make that invitation upon your request. It's not your request, let me remind you. But to that, open it up to the rest of council to speak.
Sure. So first off, well said, Deputy Mayor. Secondly, first, they say last impressions are as good as first impressions, or some may. You didn't bring any bio-resin tonight. I don't think you're going to pass this review, my friend.
No.
Furthermore, you sit there, you're laughing with your colleagues. This is a formal event. Honestly, I like you, Ben. You did a good job. You saw the challenges we had, and sometimes it's nice having an outsider come in so that they can brief the CAO on her return. And she can look at those and highlight and work on those areas. And I think that's very important. This council last year, I believe, in August, voted employee morale and satisfaction as priority number 1. With that, as we raise the goals of making all of you smile, accountability increases as well. I see remote work options as of vital importance to evolving this organization. Yeah, we may have struggles recruiting locally, but what if there's a switched on candidate 100 kilometers away? Would we offer that? So down the line, maybe we can look at it, we can think about it, we can talk about it. Would it become a reality for North Dundas? I don't know. But if somebody wants to work from home, I believe we have mechanisms in place, and I would like to see that encouraged. Right now, we're seeing a great exodus in the federal government with the RTO3. So I do want to place or want to emphasize your comment on remote work. As far as Deputy Mayor's comments about the 360, I think this is a good opportunity to practice on interim CAO leaving. But I believe we're going to talk about that later. And so I will leave my comments at that. Thank you again, Ben.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Hannibal?
Again, Mr. DeHaan, I enjoyed your stay. It didn't matter what was thrown at you. You never seemed to get flustered. So being a redhead, I admire anybody that can do that. As far as performance review, I know it's 40 years ago, but when I worked in the city, everybody had one. It was a way for upper management to get a handle on areas that they could improve on. So I'm for the review.
If there's nothing further, I want to thank councillors for their comments. Our time together, I had the benefit of knowing Ben in his role as Director of Transportation, and some of the challenges we faced, even disagreed on together, and how we were able to get through that, and still recognize that at the end of the day, we're all trying for the common good. Is there anything that you would like to add before I say thank you?
Yeah, just maybe a point of clarity. So there was a review process that was already in place at the county, or excuse me, see, I'm already back at the county. At the township, I would characterize some of the things we changed in that process were tweaks rather than wholesale changes, and the CAO isn't exempt from that process as well. So that does exist through that process as well. So just a point of clarity with that.
Well, thank you. And to that, when we talk about reviews, but I did send out to my fellow councillors and the availability to meet with me to review the most recent performance review, and no one has reached back yet to do that. So to your comments, there has been an opportunity to participate in a review, and it's not been taken up. I'm sure it will be shortly after tonight, and I look forward to that. At this point, Mr. DeHaan, mindful of what the Deputy Mayor had requested of Ms. Adams. Is she here? If she could, I think the Deputy Mayor was alluding to the 360 review. I'm not really sure of it. I haven't been made aware of this. This is all, I'm disappointed to say that I haven't been made aware of this from my fellow councillors. So if you could give a quick answer to the Deputy Mayor's contention of what the 360 review does for CAOs.
Right, so maybe I could speak about the process for the CAO at the counties. I think that, first of all, it's important at the beginning of any year that there's clear communication to the CAO to understand what the priorities are for council and for the municipality moving forward. So it's critically important that that communication take place at the very beginning of the process. At the sort of, as you reflect on a year with your CAO, the CAO, in my scenario, the CAO had the opportunity to provide feedback and comments on how they thought they had performed. And that information, I believe, was provided to County Council. There was a 360-degree review done that really only included directors at the director level at the county, so my direct reports. And then also it included feedback from County Council. So what had occurred, I believe, was the feedback from my own self-evaluation and the feedback from the directors was collated and then provided to Council to review, and then they could provide their feedback as well. So it is certainly a good process. It's not, and I think that the questions that are asked are questions that, you know, the CAO should be working with whoever is helping through that process in advance, right? So it's good that everybody is on the same page going into that process. So at the county level, our manager of human resources also facilitated that process, facilitated the confidentiality of the process, and I think that in the end it worked out very well. As far as, you know, I'm a little bit familiar, I did briefly read the notice of motion. As far as a policy goes in this process, I think that it's critically important that the CAO is part of the determination of what that policy should look like and what that process should look like. We are happy at the county level to assist and provide some feedback on what we've done and maybe sharing of information. But my comments would be not to rush that process, so not to look for something to come back maybe as quickly as has been identified in the notice of motion. You want it to be done right and have the time that it takes to properly go through that process. So if anybody has any questions of me from my process with the counties, I'd be happy to answer.
I don't have a question, but I have a point. The mayor just told us he hasn't heard of 360 before, but you just said county council. Like, where's that relationship? I'm just trying to get my
So
facts here.
our process likely doesn't call it 360. So although this has been the process
Okay.
we followed, it provides feedback from direct reports as well as county council. So
All right.
I think a true 360 also sometimes incorporates feedback from maybe a peer network. I don't know that I would recommend that. I'm not aware of many municipal organizations.
Are you part of the CAO membership thing for Ontario? Because they have a whole toolkit on this.
Correct.
I didn't know about this until, 9:30 a.m. this morning? And I've done a Google. I like the idea. We have it in federal government. It's just when I see you up here saying don't rush it, I get what you're saying. But I read the motion tonight, and the motion is essentially saying give us the skeleton from the counties so we have the information to make an informed decision later on. So that's where I'm going with this, and I just want to speed this along because I do have a live draft in session.
No, and I appreciate your concern about me not being aware of the 360, and you have to understand, Councillor Lennox, that I had no idea that this motion was even in place until last night at 5 p.m. I'm gathering everyone else knew that this motion would be taking place and some staff members, but the mayor was neglected to be informed, so I didn't have the opportunity that you may have had to investigate what 360 was. I have gone through the process at the county level, and as Madam CAO says, it's not referred to as that, and that's how that would be. But it would have been beneficial, and disappointingly, I have to say it, beneficial for me to be made aware, as my fellow councillors were aware of this motion that's going to come forward, and I'm disappointed to say that it's been neglected, and I look to staff saying it's been neglected to keep me in the loop as we go through this process. But I do believe that the process is necessary. It's just the disappointment as being left out of the conversation that took place to get to this point. So saying that, thank you, Madam CEO. Thank you, Ben. And I'll read, I believe I'll turn it over to the Deputy Mayor because this is the point that she requested that 10.1 move up to follow this. Madam Deputy Mayor.
Sorry? Yes?
Oh, you don't? I'm sorry. I thought you had to read this. I'll read it. Madam Clerk, in most cases, though, the person would read the backgrounder first, would they not? And then I would read. No, I read the motion. I'm all confused tonight. Okay. Moved by Deputy Mayor Bergeron, second by Councillor Lennox, that council instructs staff to work with the county's SDG to develop a comprehensive policy outlining a process for the performance review of the CAO that includes a 360-degree feedback component, and that a draft of this policy be presented to council for consideration at the next regular meeting of council, and that any outstanding performance evaluation from the current CAO be delayed until a performance review policy for the CAO is approved by council. Then I would, Madam Deputy Mayor, would you like to speak to that?
Yes, I would just like to make one minor amendment, is that when I wrote this, I wrote it at the same time as I was writing everything else, and the word staff came over and over again. But as for the motion, I really intended the HR person, because we have an HR person, and I think that it should be this person who consults with SDG and brings information back to us in the future.
Yeah, someone could amend this. I would, but I'm not sure how it would, right? Excuse me. Hmm? Just initial next to your name, John. Perfect, thank you. Hmm? Yeah, and Councillor Urick, you have a question or a comment?
Well, at the risk of prolonging this, I would like to perhaps see that this come back to us at the November meeting rather than the October meeting, because this is less, it's less than a month. And I get there's some expediency here, perhaps on some people's part, but I do want to get it right. I understand it's a draft, but I don't want to rush into this. I want our HR coordinator at the township to be involved, of course. I want the CEO to be involved, council to be involved, whatever, the mayor to be involved. I don't think we need to rush into this for the October 10th meeting, personally, just to give some time, because there is,
I think
this is a big,
that this process is becoming cumbersome, but I do agree, and I think my thought on it, if we're going to weigh in on thoughts, I think it should be a key information report that we're able to sit and listen, and but to have a policy presented to us at the next regular meeting of council and sign off on that seems quite short-sighted and will not offer the level of care and concern that seems to be desired with this motion, and I do tend to agree that we do have to spend some time, but the mover and the seconder, unless we just defer this and defeat it. So I look to the mover. Do you want more amendments to this, or do you want the policy here next meeting to vote on?
When is the date for the November meeting? What date? So an amendment for November 7th.
Push it back to November 7th. Thank you. So on November 7th, then we'll be presented a policy for consideration, and this mean for consideration, will it be an action request, Madam Deputy Mayor, or just a key information report?
A key information report that we could discuss.
Amend that then to a key information report. Thank you. Okay, so I'll read the amended resolution. Moved by Deputy Mayor Bergeron, second by Councillor Lennox, that council instructs the Human Resources Coordinator to work with the county's SDG to develop a comprehensive policy outlining a process for the performance review of a CAO that includes a 360-degree feedback component, that a draft of the policy be presented to council as a key information report at the November 7, 2024 meeting of council, and that any outstanding performance of evaluation for the and that any outstanding performance evaluation for the current CAO be delayed until a performance review policy for the CAO is approved by council. Does that read fairly? Thank you. All those in favor? Opposed? It's carried. Okay, so Mr. DeHaan, I think you have more to present. Thank you for your patience as we worked our way through that. Mr. DeHaan.
Thank you. Just very quickly for council, I won't read through this report, but essentially what this came to be is we had some informal discussions around the office about various transit funding opportunities that exist and continue to be offered throughout or through the province and the federal government. The direction I was taking on this one was just to do an environmental scan of what exists out in the in Ontario and around, and I think what council would appreciate seeing is that there is a variety of different types of transit opportunities and options that exist for rural locations. Some that are actually right essentially in our backyard or neighboring, and some that are far away, and they really vary in terms of their cost and how they deliver those services. So ultimately what I'm suggesting, if this is something that council really has a keen interest in pursuing further as we approach budget time, I think what really needs to be understood is what kind of demand there is right now and what needs are out there what's needed out in North Dundas. So to that end, North Glengarry is going through a similar process, not the township, but rather some community partners. So North Glengarry was supporting some of those community partners through a brief survey. And I provide a copy of that brief survey just to see what they were asking some of their residents and people that are close to North Glengarry, and suggest maybe that's something, in terms of a next step, if council does want to pursue it, look at figuring out what the needs are and then taking it from there. So that's it. I'll leave it at that.
Well, thank you for that, and I'll get to Councillor Lennox, but I just want to bring up that I had an opportunity at OEMC to have a conversation with Mayor Peckford.
Right.
And I mentioned that our intent to have meetings with other councils, our neighbors, and to just have a better understanding of the successes and challenges that we both suffer. And whenever Mayor Peckford knew of that desire, she approached me and said, "Oh, you want to talk about rural transit?" I said, "Whoa, I'm not sure about that yet. We have other things that we have to understand before we get into a deep discussion on it." Times are changing. Demands are different than they were 5 years ago, for sure. But it'd be interesting to have those conversations, or maybe understand better the financial burden it puts on the tax base to provide these services. And I do think that you and I may have been together and we talked to Uber.
Yes, that's right. Yes, we did.
Talked to Uber,
Yep.
and they're looking to expand their services to other communities.
Yep.
I'm not sure if that is captured with any smaller municipality that they've come into, and maybe there's an opportunity for that type of service to take place. Maybe there's an offset through council or some other program for accessibility to do that. So it's when I got on council in 2010, this wouldn't even be discussed. So that's how times have changed. It'd be pie in the sky, but I do get it that there's challenges that we have to understand better. Councillor Lennox.
Yeah, I completely agree with the mayor here, where we don't know our financial forecast that well yet. We won't see the draft budget, and once we see the draft budget in December, we can kind of ballpark 25, 26, 27, etc., should we wish to investigate these programs. I am so happy that you investigated this. I remember having a conversation with you and I believe Councillor Ureg about this, and we're like, it's a good idea. Grenville's doing a good job with it. Should council like, or staff like, if ever a standing committee was set up, I would like to be a part of it just to explore the feasibility, whether or not we can afford it, whether or not it could serve the interest of residents of North Dundas. I think it will, but I need to see the data first. Okay, thank you.
Councillor Urick.
Yeah, in my time in this area, there's been several kind of community-led organizations I think have tried to go down this road, tongue in cheek, I guess. Ha ha ha. Didn't mean to do that. I walked myself into that. And it just seemed to kind of lived and then died and didn't get anywhere, didn't go anywhere. And, you know, to the mayor's point, you're right. I think in 2010, this wouldn't even been on the radar for council in North Dundas. But times have changed. Times are changing. I would not sit here and make any sort of commitments on the part of North Dundas, but I do think we need to, if not be a part of, lead the conversation and see what is feasible and what kind of what we can do for our residents when it comes to this regard, because there certainly are gaps and there are challenges, and you know we're you know kind of tucked away in this corner of SDNG, and you know people have to get to Cornwall and can't get to Cornwall, or people have to get to Ottawa and can't get to Ottawa, and if this is something, a gap we can fill perhaps, then I think it's worth pursuing. But then again, you know, the dollar dictates all, and if it doesn't line up, it doesn't line up. But if, you know, knowingly there are funding opportunities available, and there's streams we could go down perhaps to make this an option in North Dundas. So I'm wanting to go kind of down these routes and see what's available to us.
Thank you. If there's nothing further, Mr. Hahn, thank you once again for that.
And I'm done.
Bear with me as I'm trying to get back to where we were jumping back and forth. So I think I'm at 7.2 Fire. Chief, key information on fire protection grant. Thank you.
Good evening again, Mr. Mayor, Council. This is just a KR, just an update of where we're at with some things with the fire service. We did apply for the OFM grant of $40,000, $10,000 per station for cancer prevention in the future. We listed the items there: decon units, new gloves, fire hoods, and then some personal clothing so that fire personnel are not tracking particulates back into their vehicles. We touched on some training in this one that Enbridge Gas is offering. These are free training sessions. Enbridge Gas is offering 2 nights for our fire service, and then the OFM is doing one on drug labs and grow ops. Again, this is free to us. The drug labs and grow ops, depending on participation levels from our own members, because this one is very short notice, we may open it up to other municipalities and invite them in, because these are, as the economy sometimes worsens, we find these things show up, and we've all seen Breaking Bad, or maybe not, but that's the kind of stuff we're dealing with here. But a little bit of information that has come up since I prepared this report. We had our shuttle accreditation on September 16th, and we were once again successful, surpassing our mark again by 15 gallons per minute that we had achieved in 2019. So we're still, with our current equipment, we're still doing a very good job of being able to protect our residents. And we did receive, just found it this afternoon, we got a grant from Medallion Insurance. So this is going to give us additional Fire Prevention Week kits, and they will be bringing them to us tomorrow. We'll be doing a little photo op, so I just found that out. So the grant was available to everyone in Ontario, and it was only awarded to 10 fire departments across the province, and we were one of them. So,
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes, Councillor Lennox.
I'll make this quick. With shuttle accreditation, could you quickly elaborate what that means for, let's say, our farmers and our combine example earlier?
So what that means is we can flow a commercial rate of water for and people who live within 8 kilometers of a fire station, that, or your business is within 8 kilometers of the fire station, you'll qualify for an insurance reduction from most insurance companies. Not all insurance companies, unfortunately, recognize it, but most do. And we think this is just a great feather in the cap of North Dundas Fire Services. So,
Excellent. Well done. Thank you.
thank you.
And to that, if I go back to the early days with this process and how at the time I think we were unique in North Dundas to achieve that goal. I think we were unique at the time to achieve an industrial rating, which was quite a feather in the cap. But also, what it does for us, and Councillor Lennox would attest to it, I'm sure, it offers a challenge to our firefighters to keep their skills up and to keep their pump handling skills up and to continue offering a level of protection that is exemplary, and we're so proud of that. And the effort and the commitment to doing that is quite it's heartening, and it really speaks to the volunteers that serve us on the fire service. And congratulations to everyone involved.
And if I may add to your point on that, Mr. Mayor, we achieved this on our own. We do offer our water tankers to other municipalities in order that they can, under mutual aid agreements, that they can achieve shuttle accreditation as well. So we can do it on our own, and not to toot our own horn, but we do help our neighbors make it for them as well. So it's very positive for our own people.
Well, thank you for that. If there's anything else, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Development Services, Mr. Pohl, the Planning Act changes.
Thank you, Mayor Fraser, members of council. As you're likely aware, the Planning Act keeps changing every month almost these days, it feels like. There's been more changes in the last 2 to 3 years than there has been in the last 10 years. The rate of pace of change is quite significant, and I wanted to bring council up to speed on some of these changes and how it impacts North Dundas. The first one is official plans. Normally it was up to 20 years you planned ahead, but now it's 20 to 30 years, what they want to see you planning ahead, so that you can forecast where you anticipate growth and where you feel growth should happen. That does affect the boundaries, so when you're dealing with municipal boundaries of urban areas and urban settlement, rural settlement areas, those boundaries can now be enlarged even further because you're taking into account a 30-year time frame rather than just a 20-year time frame. The second one was settlement area expansions. The ability to expand our settlements. Before, you had to undertake these only at a time of a new official plan. Now you can do them more frequently. They're easier to obtain. That comes into effect in October 20th. So we're looking at some of our rural settlement areas to look at expansions there. As you know, places like Hallville are filling up. Every little available space of land is taken. We're getting the same in some of our other settlement areas. In Forestwood Heights area is all full now. In that area in Harmony is all full. Looking at expanding that. We're looking at expanding Ormond, Morewood also. So you'll see that roll out as part of an official plan amendment in the near future. So that's easier now, but you still have to take into account avoiding prime agricultural land where you can, and the minimum distance separation, so that means barns, manure storage facilities, to stay away from those where you can. Another one is employment land. They did change the definition of employment land. This is kind of critical. We have a number of spaces that are designated employment land. It's basically now industrial land. Before, you had a component of commercial you can include in there, but they've taken that component out and made it basically industrial land. So when we're looking at employment lands now going forward, we have to bear that in mind, because if you designate it, it's really only core industrial uses allowed. We have what's called an enterprise district that swings around Winchester from the Country Kitchen basically all the way along down to BMR. And that's an enterprise district, which is different than employment district. We managed to get that in there. That allows us the flexibility, and we've had that in this official plan for some time, and it's carried forward in the new one, commercial and industrial type uses, because we have a lot of farm dealerships in there. And that's kind of a quasi. Some of them are manufacturing, some are not. Like Horst, you have Horst in there too, which manufactures grain bins in their factory and also sells them from there. So it allows that dual purpose, which is why we have the enterprise district around the village here. Excuse me. Going back to our last council meeting, I had expressed that the changes to the appeal rights are in place now, so that no longer residents can appeal. Changes to zoning amendments, official plan amendments, minor variances. That's a significant change. And they introduced the term specified person, and I didn't have the full definition, which I've provided. As you can see, it's quite a long list of individuals or companies that can still object. And one of the ones I just want to bring to light that I didn't mention last meeting that does affect this municipality is licensed or permitted aggregate producers. So if you have a sand pit or a quarry, they can object if it's within 300 meters of them. If it's outside of 300 meters, they can't, but if it's within 300, they can. Just want to bring that to council's attention. That's new. Moving forward, they removed on number 6, pre-consultations are now voluntary. So you're not forced to pre-consult with the municipality if you're a developer walking in the door. We strongly encourage pre-consultation. We can save you time and money in this municipality. Come in early, come talk to us about your proposal and we'll help you through the process. The government has said that's now voluntary. We can't force people to do that, but we still strongly encourage that. The next one is on-farm diversified uses. They've changed the definition to that. On-farm diversified uses typically only included solar installations. They've expanded the definition to also include energy generation facilities, transmission systems, and energy storage systems. There's no definition as to the size of that. This is for on-farm diversification. Typically, that would be for your own personal use. How bigger can that get, or how much larger can that facility become if it's producing and exporting off of the on-farm use? There's no definition of that, so that leaves questions, and I'm now still in conversations with the ISEO, the independent electricity producers, to find what is that going to mean for farms. Can they start putting battery storage all over their farms or not? And taking up agricultural land. So that's a good question to see going forward and how that rolls out. That needs to be considered. The next one also is new additional dwelling units, policies for farms. So for our farmers now, you are allowed up to 3 dwelling units on the property, subject to certain conditions. So one of them has to be attached or connected to the existing house. The other one can be beside or separated from the house itself. And there's conditions associated with that. So that is new. Before it was 3 units you could do in a single family dwelling, up to 3 units on a property in urban areas on full services, and only 2 in the rural areas. They now have introduced a 3rd one for farms. So that's a critical thing. We are a farming community. So the farmers can also put an additional unit on top so they can have up to 3 units on a property. That also does not affect if you have farm help in the sense of, it's under one of the other points here. The last one for greater certainty, the very last thing, if it's farm worker housing. So where you have large significant farms where they bring in workers for a certain time of the year from outside of the country typically, that accommodations is separate. That's dealt with separately than the additional 3 units on the property. So some changes, so lots of twists and turns in the Planning Act. So, and the provincial policy statement is now the provincial planning statement as of October. So you'll see me switching terminology because they've switched the terminology just for keep us on our toes.
I think I already expressed my feelings with the province once today at a meeting. I don't think I need to do it again. But I do have a question, and I will definitely open it up to, I'm sure there's questions from council. What the expansions on number 2, item number 2, who vets all of those things? Like, is there a process where it has to go to someone else, or is it laid solely on the staff's, the local staff's shoulders, who ensures that all of that takes place?
So the process is that it goes through the counties, and they would do an open house or a public meeting also on that. And looking at it, it also has to be approved by the province. So the province has an opportunity to appeal or object.
Okay, and then if you could, the 3, the new additional dwelling units policy for farms, and I looked in the room and I see 2 ag people and, well, one that used to be, but If there's 3 units, is there opportunity for severance down the road, or is it always the 3 units are on one property and not to be severed?
Yeah, so the idea is that it's not to be severed. This isn't a way of creating severances in the rural area or agricultural area. They stay with the farm.
And there's no, I would anticipate there would be a restriction that it couldn't be severed for X number of years as the farm changes and people decide not to farm. But then there's potential that someone would be left with 2 other dwelling units on their property uninhabited, and they can't do anything about it
That's right.
at this point.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Questions, comments from members of council? Councillor Urick.
Yeah, further to point number 2 there about the settlement area expansions, is this change going to make it easier for us? Not that it's an easy process, but I know it's been acrimonious thus far to try to get these expansions in place in areas in which it seemingly makes sense to have it expanded, but it doesn't make sense how the process operates. So will this change, in your opinion, make it any easier, or is it just more words thrown at us from the province?
I don't think Mr. Paul wants to answer that. I can.
Oh, I don't mind.
It's more words thrown at us by the
There you
province
go.
because
See,
the province, the answer to my question, the province are the final ones to approve it. And if they decide to stymie it at Kingston level, then it's stymied at Kingston level.
My past journalism career would have been a leading question. I was baiting him for a nice response, and I was fairly certain Mr. Pohl wasn't going to give it to me, but thank you, Mr. Mayor, for that.
Mr. Paul.
I can answer one way. Before you had to do a land swap, you only got to do it at the new official plan to actually touch boundaries. Or you had to do an incredible amount of justification reports, and it's almost impossible to get boundaries exchanged or enlarged. So for Wellings in the past, we've done land swaps to get them the additional land, and bring them into the village. And we did the same thing with their recent expansion to get phase 4 and 5 in. You're always dealing with land swaps, and not the best method overall. So this should release a little more or open it up a little more. You're still going to have to provide justification, but it should be easier technically. I'll leave it at that.
You're too pleasant. Anything further for Mr. Paul on this topic? Thank you, Mr. Paul. At this point, I'm at the consent agenda, and I'm going to read the resolution. Moved by Councillor Lennox, seconded by Councillor Annabelle, that all items listed under the consent agenda be received and filed for information purposes. All those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, that's carried. Boards and committees, County Council, Deputy Mayor. The CAO's here, you could ask her. Nevertheless, I think we're getting ready for budget at County Council level. I had the opportunity to sit at the Shared Services Committee, and the counties are waiting for information to come from the City of Cornwall, our service provider, to inform us of the challenges that the counties will face with increased levy because of the challenges that the city faces, and on the shared services. So, and that just transfers to impacting our township levy. So it's going to affect both the counties and the township. I'm gapping on that, but that's fine. I don't think there's much else there's much else, but no, I'm good. Okay, and we'll move on to the next one. Parade lights, nothing yet. Garden Party Market, the last event of this, not the last event. There's one more event to take place. The event most recently held at the 100 Club Park was again a success. That venue is proving to be the appropriate venue for the Garden Party Market. And as with anything, it takes time for the numbers to build with the word of mouth being spread about the quality of the offerings from the vendors. I look forward to that continuing. That's the Garden Party Market. We received minutes from the Garden Party Market, Madam Clerk, correct? They're included in the package. Art and the Waterfront, Councillor Annabelle.
They won't meet until probably November or December.
Chesterville District Historical Society, Councillor Annabelle.
As far as I know, they've taken most of the summer off.
Okay.
As far as the board goes.
Thank you. And I move to Councillor Uhrig, the Carnival. Nothing. At this time, Councillor Lennox, are you still seeking volunteers for the Green Action Gang?
Are you going to come out, Mr. Mayor?
I'm looking across the room.
Hey, Ben, you've been kicked out of North Dundas. Chesterville Green Action Gang is a great community opportunity to volunteer for. They're amazing people. Come out, have fun, plant some flowers.
And a comment about the Green Action Gang, anyone crossing the bridge in Chesterville, the flowers in full bloom, to your point, Councillor Annabelle, it is gorgeous. They do a fine job in Chesterville. Dairy Fest, Deputy Mayor.
Okay, for Dairy Fest, there was an estimated between 1,000 and 1,500 people that came through. The total sponsorship was $15,850, which included the township donation. The top sponsors were Lactalis, North Dundas Building Supply, and the Oldford Realty. The profit was $6,700 this year. What they're thinking about for next year is instead of the weekend, making it a dairy day. And for many reasons that we already know here, it will be less expenses, but what the one main problem is getting volunteers. And to find volunteers for 2 to 2.5 days is very difficult at this point. And so the thought right now is just to do it a one day for 2025.
Thank you. The downtown Winchester, who would like to speak to that? Councillor Annabelle or Councillor Uhrig?
We haven't met yet. We're still waiting for some revenue to come in from some sponsors. And there are a few people that haven't sent in their expenses yet, so we're waiting for that.
Is your mic on or off?
We're still waiting for things to come in. There's some sponsorship money that hasn't shown up yet, and we're waiting for some invoices for expenses. So we're going to wait and we can tally that all up.
Thank you. And the Morwood Recreation Association, Councillor Lennox. there must
So
be-
obviously, Morwood RA is having an event this Saturday. While council was going off, I've received numerous text messages thanking council for supporting the event this weekend. Please come out, Morwood Community Center. The last meeting and first meeting of this fiscal for this community group was September 12th. Unfortunately, I was with my kids at hockey tryouts. But as you can see in the agenda, the minutes are there. If you have any questions, please reach out.
Thank you. And we're going to move right down to 10.2 to the Deputy Mayor. And she has a request for support for the town of Plimpton, Wyoming, and the city of Quinte West. Moved by Deputy Mayor Bergeron, second by Councillor Annabelle. The council supports motion number 24-366 from the city of Quinte West and motion number 16 from the town of Plimpton, Wyoming, regarding the Canada Community Building Fund, and that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to Municipal Finance Officers Association, Association of Municipalities of Ontario, MP Eric Duncan, MPP Nolan Quinn, Deputy Prime Minister and Federal Finance Minister Cynthia Freeland, and all municipalities in Stormont, Dundas, and Glengarry. Deputy Mayor, speak to that.
Yeah, so here we are again where they've changed the name of a fund where it used to be the gas tax because they don't want us to relate that electric cars don't pay the gas tax for infrastructure. And so they call it the Canada Community Building Fund. And the Township of Plimpton, Wyoming have this motion forward that we're only getting 2% increases per year from that fund, and that in the past 4 years, expenses have gone up in infrastructure by 29%. And so they're asking for the levels of government to give us more money. We can support that. Whether it will happen or not, we don't know, but at least we can support it.
Thank you. All those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, that's carried. council comments and concerns. Just recently, I think it was last weekend, it was the grand parade in support of the Dundas Manor, raising the roof. That was an excellent event, attended well, and it was a feel-good event to be supporting Dundas Manor. And of note, for some of us that may know Mr. Dwayne Holmes, he shaved off his beard, and Farmer John Cinnamon used the sheep shears to do it. And so Dwayne was a brave man to allow his neck to be shorn by sheep shears. Yeah, he looked like he was raw. And then also I just wanted to speak to the event with the Golden Helmets, the South Glengarry Pipe Band, the Garden Party Market, the Bouncy Castle, the Fries for Charity, the Bike Night, the, I'll get the name wrong, the AC/DC Cover Band, 21 Gun Salute, and organized by, I would like to say organized mostly, it was organized by the Downtown Committee and other volunteer groups, the Garden Party Market and Dan Pettigrew. Many volunteers, many supporters. It was a huge event in North Dundas. It brings lots of good recognition to our municipality, our township. It was in support of raising the roof. And I just want to express that Vince Zambelt, I'd say the leader of all of this, powered through that event, knowing that his father was soon to be not with us. He passed the next morning after the event. So condolences to Vince and his family from me and us. But that event was a fantastic event. It really shows how well our volunteer groups work together, what their commitment to the community is. And I think as a council, I'm sure we're all proud of that effort. Any other council comments? Councillor Lennox.
Yes, I have a comment and a concern. Earlier today, approximately 09:30, I was chatting with Madam CAO, and just so the rest of the council is aware, we discussed potential or addressing complaints, not knowing, misinformation, and etc. regarding not the Hallville Park, but said crosswalk that's going up. And one of the ideas which I presented Madam CAO was maybe a public information session. Just have the director of rec go out there, maybe director of transportation, and explain the concept, because there's a lot of rumors floating around. This is in my backyard, and I don't really know. I've heard two different versions, so yeah, just letting you know. Comment. And now for the concern, I found out sitting here that the ice isn't ready in Chesterville Arena. But I found out through the hockey organization, that's something which I would like to see down the road coming from the director or a delegated official of, hey, we're not going to be ready this weekend with ice, instead of hearing it on my phone. Again, with delegated authority, let's communicate, we're a team, you know, we're all accountable to somebody. Cool.
I appreciate your thought on that, Councillor Lennox. I was coming from Ingleside, directly to this meeting. I was on the road, and I believe it was probably 10 after 4, thereabouts, and I'm coming down 31, coming to here, and I'm talking to, I'm getting the good news at that time, and the comment from the CAO is that Ms. Meerberg won't be in attendance here tonight because she was on the phone directly communicating with the users at the time, and that would be why we didn't get that information. She was contacting the users and giving them as soon as possible a heads up as to the challenges that we're facing in Chesterville. I do understand your concern, and I agree with it 100%. We don't want to be caught short, but I trust that Ms. Meerberg was busy letting the users know. But I do understand your concern, and I support it. Okay. If there's nothing else, no miscellaneous unfinished. Moved by Councillor Lennox, seconded by Councillor Annabelle that bylaw number 2024-59 to adopt, confirm, and ratify matters dealt with by resolution be read and passed in open council, signed and sealed this 26th day of September 2024. All those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, that's carried. Moved by Councillor Annabelle, seconded by Councillor Lennox, that council adjourn at 6:45 p.m. to the call of the chair. All those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, that's carried. Thank you very much for everyone's patience as we work through this short but long meeting. And I want to thank Madam CAO from the counties and Director of Transportation from the counties for being in attendance and contributing to our meeting. Thank you very much.